Hi, I'm Benjy Silverman.
And I'm Rick McCartney, and our company is iRewardHealth, an evidence-based program to help people to build healthy habits. I'm a nurse practitioner with experience developing lifestyle interventions to help people to reduce risks for chronic and preventable diseases.
And I'm an addiction psychiatrist who specializes in the science behind how individuals change their behaviors. Next slide, please. The problem addressed by iRewardHealth is poor engagement in health and wellness activities. It essentially goes without saying that we are in the midst of an obesity epidemic. Obesity is a leading cause of chronic and preventable medical illness and costs over $150 billion per year in the United States alone. At this point in time, as a society and a medical profession, we know how diet, exercise, and other healthy activities can prevent and combat obesity. And we have a ton of really great wellness tools to help people achieve these behaviors. For example, gym memberships, nutrition programs, and wearable fitness devices, among others. And yet, the obesity rates continue to grow at an alarming pace. The problem we face is not one of a lack of knowledge. The problem is that people don't use the health and wellness tools available to them. Next slide, please. And the reason people don't use the tools available to them is because they are not sufficiently rewarding. Based on decades of behavioral science research, we know our attraction as human beings to positive reinforcement and positive rewards. In other words, we prefer to do things that feel good to us, and we put off things that are difficult. I think this is a concept most of us can relate to in our daily lives. I'll give you a few examples to think about. It's easier for us to spend money for something we want right now than it is to save money for later. And it's more comfortable to sit on our couch and watch our favorite television show than it is to go out for a walk. And it certainly feels better to eat a candy bar right now than it does to worry about weight gain or diabetes later. Our brains are wired to seek positive rewards that feel good to us right now. And from a health standpoint, that wiring in our brains puts us at risk for long-term consequences, such as obesity, makes it difficult for us to change our behaviors, and is a major reason why we don't use the health and wellness tools currently available. As an example, if we consider wearable fitness devices or going to your primary care doctor to discuss a new diet, there's nothing inherently rewarding in there. We might feel some novelty in buying and wearing a new device, and we might feel some excitement in the hope of starting a new diet, but these feelings wear off quickly, especially as we face the pain that comes in trying to implement new and difficult behaviors. And so what happens is we start and stop. We start wearing the fitness device and we stop. We start the diet and we stop. And this helps explain why half of the people who buy a wearable fitness device stop wearing it within 3 months. Next slide, please. Our solution to this problem is iRewardHealth, a user-friendly app that helps create behavioral change through effective incentives. iRewardHealth takes that brain wiring I was telling you about earlier and essentially flips it on its head by adding positive rewards to the things we usually find difficult. And a very important point here is that the rewards applied by iRewardHealth are rewards that we know help people make behavior changes. Rewards have to be tangible, they have to be immediately connected to the behavior they're designed to reinforce, and they have to be of real-world value to the user. iRewardHealth accomplishes this by giving cash-based rewards directly earned for healthy choices. In other words, iRewardHealth pays you cash to do the hard things necessary to maintain good health. Next slide, please. Here I'm going to show you a few slides just so you get an idea of what our app looks like, and you can also download it. If you contact us, we can give you some login credentials. We designed the app to be as easy to use as possible. You can see here from the home screen, a user can log an activity or a meal, can view daily progress, and has a constant reminder of their points earned to date. Next slide, please. On the rewards screen, users can easily keep track and view their points earned to date. Users earn points every time they engage in healthy activities, such as a healthy meal, exercising, or engaging in a health education activity. Points are earned according to our patent-pending rewards algorithm that takes into account the characteristics of a healthy behavior. For example, how long did someone go for a run, and is it objectively measured or self-reported, and also adapt to fit a user's stage of habit formation. For example, how many days in a row they perform that activity. Next slide, please. And points can be redeemed from cash for cash immediately and at any time. Unlike the examples I described earlier, with iRewardHealth, people actually engage in healthy behaviors and actually utilize the wellness tools available to them because they feel appropriately rewarded to do so. And now I'm going to turn it over to Rick to talk more about our business. Next slide, please.
Thank you. With iRewardHealth, an employer or other sponsor will initially provide incentive money. This typically works out to be about $14 per month, which is on par with the industry standard for wellness incentives. This incentive is used to reinforce the user engaging in healthy behaviors. We know that these health behaviors are associated with improved attendance rate for employees, specifically a 12% reduction in sick time and lost productivity, and they've additionally produced a reduction in expenses for medical claims. Savings in the industry is typically at least 6%, and an average of $1,400 per year for each overweight employee. To monetize this tool, we utilize a per-user, per-month subscription model, and our market strategy has been direct sales to employers and distribution through health benefit brokers. Next slide. Unfortunately, while thousands of wellness programs exist, the industry average shows us that less than 1% of all of the employees who have access to a wellness program are actually using that program. Through iRewardHealth's easy-to-use system, we have seen an 84% engagement rate among eligible users, and we prioritize making our system as sticky and engaging as possible to keep people on track in meeting their health goals. Next slide. At present, we have an app in production with live users on iPhone, Android, and web app. We initially raised $260,000 of funding in the summer of 2015. We had a beta product launch in November 2015. Financial transactions went live in January of 2016. We were in the App Store in February in 2016. And at this time, we're actively enrolling new customers. We have contracts pending with multiple mid-size employers of roughly 3,000 to 5,000 employees each, and we're working with health benefit brokers to scale sales. There is a demonstrated need for a more engaging, usable, and financially efficient wellness solution, and we have an established team of behavioral scientists and software experts available to help to sustain growth with our current feature set. Next slide. Upcoming features, we have some pretty interesting things that are coming down the pipeline. The first of these utilizes machine learning to disrupt the current methods for dietary tracking. This tool is in active development, and when finished, we'll be able to identify the contents of a meal with greater accuracy than a medical professional. If you would like to see our preliminary tool and follow along with development, you can download the app Cat or Hat in the iOS App Store today. We're additionally working on a health education delivery platform which will utilize existing health materials that sponsors have developed and present them to their users at optimal times based on the user need and applicability. We are also developing a sponsor portal. And this way, custom content can be pushed to the users, leveraging our communication channel to improve employee engagement with their corporate culture. Next slide. At this time, we're seeking an investment of $1 million, which will be used to support our current staff, future feature development, and marketing to accelerate our rate of scale. We have developed a product that is in live production, and we're positioned to rapidly scale user growth. At present, we're looking at profitability by the fourth quarter of this year. We have contracts pending to support over 20,000 users and have discounted our valuation to reflect that these contracts are scheduled to close later this month. Because we are at the tipping point for accelerated growth, we will be adjusting our valuation in 30 days to reflect our continued traction. Please act now to join us as we revolutionize wellness using behavioral economics. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for attending, and great presentation, Rick and Benjy. Appreciate that. Please go ahead and enter all the questions that you have in the right side of the screen, and we'll enter them, or I'll ask those to iRewardHealth team as they come up. If we can't get to everybody's question during the call, you'll get responded to within 24 hours of the call. In fact, Rick and Benjy will reach out directly at that point either way, just to make sure that you've got all of your questions answered. So we have our first question here. why is now a good time for you to be raising capital?
That's a great question. So we initially had raised some money to help with product development and to be able to show proof of concept and that we could actually produce a tool that would be effective and engaging. At this time, we are in a position to slowly grow sales, and we've been actively pursuing closing sales contracts. With the additional funding, we'll be able to provide extra support for that sales staff and really to help to keep a streamlined process as user base grows. So I think right now is really an optimal time. The company is young enough and early enough that investors can get involved and really have a meaningful stake in the success of the company, and we're positioned to be able to really utilize those funds in a very efficient way to help us to scale growth.
Okay, great. Got a question here from Tony. How do you differentiate your company with Jif?
Sorry, the wellness company was Jif?
Yes.
And so the main thing that really differentiates us from Jif, from Virgin Pulse, from some of the IncentFit other companies, is really our focus on having an adaptive reward algorithm that really takes the user where they're at, assesses their level of change, their level of engagement, and it actually fine-tunes the level of reward that they're getting based on what's been effective. So we know that if you participate in a behavior and I give you a reinforcement, which is going to be the form of a cash reward, and you do not engage in that behavior again, it was not effective. And so what our algorithm does is it learns from that level of engagement, and it's able to scale the monetary incentives that are given in order to help you to be able to engage on a greater level. So that's really a primary distinguishing factor between us and Jif.
Great. We have a question from Maxine. She's looking for the name and email of the presenters. We'll actually follow up and have you connected through email after the call, Maxine, so don't worry about that. And anyone that wants to reach out to them, just email us at info@springboardequity.com. Michael asked, with what sounds like significant revenues coming in, why are you raising money now?
Mm-hmm. So, and I think it was something that I tried to speak to initially is that we have revenue coming in. We have a user base that is actually going to pretty quickly outpace our ability to support them. So what we'd like to do is bring in-house 2 more software engineers to really help support a streamlined process, make sure that we're able to keep up with user demand, and then also to help scaling marketing. So while we have substantial users lined up, it really is something that we're wanting to accelerate because 20,000 users is fantastic. Really, we're targeting getting into the 100,000, a few 100,000 users by year end, and in order to support that, we need to bring people in now so that we can make sure they work well with our team, so that as we start to have real significant user scale, we're not left kind of behind the 8 ball there.
Great. Great. Nikita said, great pitch. Wondering if you guys are going to be sharing the slide deck. Yes, Nikita, we're going to not just share the slide deck, but we'll also send you a replay so you can view the pitch over again if you want. And Salman says, how many users have downloaded the app?
So right now, we had 1,500 initial users in our beta launch with student population. Right now we have 10 user accounts with companies, and they're pretty small companies at present, and an additional 5,000 user contract that we're lining up actually to sign this week. So we have downloads of those initial companies, about 150 users with live cash transactions daily, and then we have a 3,000 user contract that's pending this week.
Great. And Michael wants to know, how did you arrive at your valuation?
So it's a pretty discounted valuation based on financial projections. They are available on the platform, but I think you need to send a request and we can give you access to them. So we basically have significantly discounted. Our valuation is on par with what next year's revenue would be, as opposed to using a multiplier, because we do respect the fact that as a startup, using a more traditional valuation for an established company, in my opinion, is actually not appropriate. So I can send you financial projections as well as traction to date, some more details if you want to substantiate that. Okay,
great. Real quick, Maxine said, what's the website? It's iRewardHealth.com. Thomas says, is asking, most health and wellness solutions are successful in keeping consumers engaged for a 3-month period. Not sure why, but that seems to be the magic number that keeps popping up. In any case, does your solution sustain longer engagement than that? If so, why? And his second question is around ROI, which, Thomas, we may have to just have that question answered offline, because this may be I think this is the most amount of time we have is to answer this question here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that 3 month is the same for typical employee wellness, as well as wearable devices. There really seems to be a fading off that occurs if something is not continually reinforced, and so an upfront reward is not enough to sustain use beyond that. What you really need is something that's reaching out to the person, easy to use, so someone can participate in iRewardHealth with 5 to 10 minutes a day, which is pretty low impact. And then they're actually receiving financial rewards for each interaction. So that's really how we keep people engaged. Is that I'm sure you have apps on your phone that you don't open up every day. And the reason is that they're not catching your attention, and then you don't have a rewarding experience when you do open it. And so we can kind of keep ourselves on that main page of a home screen by being strategic about how we administer rewards, the push prompts we use to get people to stay engaged, and then we actually can fine-tune the level of reinforcement so that if we notice it's been a couple of days since someone's checked in, we can give them a kind of a re-engagement reward to help them to kind of come back into the fold. So that's a level of individualized attention that many of these people aren't getting with their gym membership reimbursement or with just initiatives that are done on campus at their company.